What did you find, John?
John, it is quite remarkable. If you want to understand why all of a sudden members of Congress are skittish, nervous about passing this big bailout, just spend a little bit of time in the small towns of Big Sky country.
Roundup day on the Ryder Ranch. Moving the cattle from the hills to the corral is a sign of the changing season. A couple hundred head here, many to be sold off soon, so Dave Ryder can pay the bank.
Every legitimate rancher has to borrow $50 to $80 to maybe $250,000 just to pay your bills.
8% interest stings, especially when you add in the soaring costs of diesel and fertilizer. But what stings more are warnings from Washington that credit here and across Main Street America could dry up if Congress doesn't quickly pass a $700 billion Wall Street bailout.
We're responsible for our debts out here. We pay our debts. I believe George Bush himself said they got drunk on Wall Street. Well, they ought to suffer the hangover like we have to every day out here.
Ryder is hardly alone in saying he wasn't swayed by the president's nationally televised address.
So I take it you're against this?
At Republican Congressman Denny Rayburg's Helena office, the morning after tally was 55 calls against, 1 for. Much the same across town. Democratic Senator Max Baucus, by mail and by telephone, hearing skepticism and mostly outright opposition.
We're waiting to see how it all comes out with the amendments attached.
This 3,000-acre ranch has been in the family for 66 years, since Dave Ryder was 4.
I was born during the days of FDR, and FDR said that we have nothing to fear but fear. Well, this is exactly the opposite. They're preying on our fears. If we don't bail them out, the rest of you are going to go down the tubes and we'll have another depression. And I don't like the idea of this fear tactics. Who knows what it's going to do to us? We don't know. It doesn't seem to be solving the problems in the way.
That uncertainty is unsettling, all the more so because Ryder and many others out here listen to dire warnings from their president and just don't believe him.
Well, it's the same thing that the president did in Iraq. Oh, if we don't watch out, that'll come in the form of a mushroom-shaped cloud. And there was no threat like that whatsoever. For my part, I don't believe anything that's coming out of Washington, particularly from the Oval Office.
That mistrust of Mr. Bush and the Congress leaves Ryder feeling powerless and worried it will cost him even more when the cattle head back to the hills next spring, and he needs another loan to keep the family ranch up and running.
What angers many people we've talked about here is they say they keep hearing from the politicians that all these institutions are too big to let them fail. Well, John, what everyone is telling us is it is the members of Congress, through all the deregulation, that let these institutions get too big to begin with. John?
Interesting story. John King for us tonight. Sorry, John, in Marysville, Montana. He was in Helena earlier today. Thanks, John, very much.